I'm also into e-commerce, and I was studying some people about e-commerce. I like Rob more when I came across the fact that he does property. So I came across a property book, and that's how it started for me when I started learning about different strategies. And I'm like, oh wow, I did not know.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome this evening. It's Peter and Istvan here. We've got a very special guest, Lenka, with us this evening. I just want to say thank you for coming along, Lenka. Really great to have you. For those of you who don't know who Lenka is, guys, she's a property investor, originally from the Czech Republic, but currently lives in the UK and lives in Devon. So she's got one of the most beautiful part of the UK. She calls her home. She's full of energy. She's got a very bubbly personality. She always fills everyone with energy when you watch her on social media. So I love watching all your stuff you do. She has her own podcast, which attracted some really big hitters in the social media arena. So she's getting herself known. She's out there doing lots of things. So if you haven't seen Lenka, you've clearly been living under a rock. But she's here tonight, and we're really, really happy to have her. So Lenka, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you this evening?
Oh, hi guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. And thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. That's really kind. What a lovely words. I feel really, really honored to be on the show with you tonight. I absolutely love what you guys do. You know, me and Peter, we've been friends for a while now. And with you, Istvan, obviously I follow your journey as well. So love what you guys do. So thanks for having me. First thing, I just want to, I have to say that I'm not from Czech Republic, but you were very close. I was born in Czechoslovakia, which doesn't anymore.
It's very, very big mistake, you know?
Yeah, I apologize. I know what it's like to be coming from that part of the world, and people mistaking you for where you come from.
Yeah, I know. No problem. The fact is that what makes me actually smile about it is because I was born half Czech, because I was born Czechoslovakian. So you were 50-50 right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So hi everybody. As you said, so I'm Lenka. I've been living in this beautiful, beautiful Devon of the UK. As you said, it's in my opinion as well, it's one of the most beautiful parts. So I'm very, very happy to be here. And I don't know, what was the other question?
There's no question. Don't get too much rest. No, honestly, good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And for me as well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And not just because you're living in Devon, which is honestly my favorite location in UK. And I've been plenty of times, and I can't wait when everything is gonna go back to normal and I can visit Lenka myself in person as well, because honestly I love spend time in Devon. I go normally every year a couple of times. So apart from you living in a most beautiful part of the UK, one of the most beautiful parts of the UK, and also we know you from social media as well. You are really active, and I'm sure whoever is tuning in tonight, now or later, they will know your name as well. So obviously we see what you do on social media, and we all know you have a very, very famous podcast as well, and you have a quite few, let's say, in this niche, property niche, let's say bigger names as well, which is not easy, guys. Let's be honest. So getting guests, into your show like we done a couple of times is not easy. So obviously you're gonna need to have a brand, because otherwise those people are just gonna turn you down, and because they have no interest to go to your show. So it's a really great thing you've done with the podcast. So obviously maybe a lot of people don't know you. So that's my first question to you, Lenks. So if you could tell us about yourself. Yeah.
bit more about myself. So
your background before you started in property, maybe even before you came to UK or in the UK before property. So anything.
Okay, so thank you very much, Peter, again for lovely words. Honestly, guys, that's really kind of you. And you know, when you summarize someone up like that in a few sentences, it really makes you feel like, you know, good about yourself. So I feel like I want to tap at myself in the back. No, I'm just joking. No, thank you very much for this kind words, guys. So yeah, so as you guys said, so I'm originally from Slovakia. When I came to the UK just before I turned 18. So I'm independent since I was 18 years old. Started as a au pair to learn English, and my main goal to come to UK was to learn English, basically. I never really thought that I would be here either that long or forever, but you know, I wanted to travel, wanted to learn other culture, learn language, and within 3 years, I was already a bar manager in a fine dining, sort of like a fine dining place in London. So I was a very career goer, like in my early 20s, and just everything was about building career and being very busy and hitting those goals, and you know, and lots of learning and and just trying to move up and up and up. And then suddenly, someone gave me the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And obviously, most of the people who's watching this probably will know Rich Dad Poor Dad, and who don't, then it's from Robert Kiyosaki, and definitely get it. So it's the classic book now for everyone to read. And I started learning about the differences between, you know, being employed, self-employed, being investor and entrepreneur and all that. And I'm like, there are other ways of how to live and how to make money and have the freedom, but then never really did anything about it when it comes to like money wise. I just did a lot of that really changed my sort of, I don't know, that started shifting my mindset. But instead of going into business, I went traveling. So I know it sounds a bit like complete opposite, but what I've realized is that being in London and I was chasing something all the time and living very rush life. Suddenly I realized that something else I'm missing, something else I need to see more of the world. And so I've decided that I went traveling around Asia for a while, for a few months, and then around Europe. I'm just saying, like, you know, longer story short, then somehow I end up in Africa as well, doing volunteering work for charity, 6 months in total. There was 2 trips, completely in a rural area, building schools for children and all sorts. And as I was doing all my travels, I learned a lot about who I am and who I want to be. And when I came back, only maybe 3 years ago now, or 3.5 years ago, I decided that I'm going to look more seriously into being an adult, basically. And I realized that you need things like credit score, and you know, and I was like, credit what? And you know, and if you want a mortgage, and also, and I was like, I did not know. And then you need, and so yeah, I was a bit shocked what adulthood actually means when I started taking more seriously. But yes, it's like and then I started really working on my mindset more and more. Even though I always was very like career goer, I started learning more about entrepreneurial mindset and start following people slowly, not in property world in general, start being inspired by famous people, not necessarily famous in any ways. It could be from sport to movies to business, all sorts. And yeah, so that's sort of my background. And now I'm in property, but that's how I sort of shifted from the travels and all that to entrepreneurial now.
There's so many things in there that resonates with me, Lenka, to be honest, because I've done almost all of what you just described, and you know, we've barely met. You know, we've known each other through social media, but you know, a lot of what you just said is exactly how my life sort of evolved over the many years. You know, I've done a lot of traveling. You know, I lived abroad for many years, and I always believe, and I always tell people, you know, if you've never been abroad and never lived anywhere else for at least a few months, 6 months or something, then you really haven't got a perspective on life, because it's really, you know, makes your eyes open up and open up the whole world to you if you're just able to put yourself into someone else's shoes for a little bit of a longer than just 2 weeks holiday, because the holiday is completely different from being and living somewhere for 6 to 12 months, you know. So yeah, but it sounds like you agree with that as well. So traveling is brilliant because you get to see all the world, you know, different cultures, different ways of living. You know, the differences between how people live is amazing, you know, as you travel across the world. But I think also what you touched on was really interesting, you know, the whole rich dad poor dad thing. So I think so many of us have gone through that journey of picking up that book or listening to the audio book and just finding out that, oh my God, there is debt out there, and no one told me about this until now. Like how?
And there's a good debt and bad debt. I didn't know there's a good debt and things like that.
No, because, you know, rightly so in the book, you know, he very clearly says that, you know, nobody teaches you these things. And I think still to date, I think that doesn't exist in schools. So it's very important for us to be picking up these great books and inspirational books that what you just said. So yeah, it's really funny. But in relating to what you said is, you know, you kind of mentioned property in a very sort of you know, short way. But so you are also looking and also are getting into property, but you're doing this almost through social media in a way, because that's your number one thing at the moment. So what made you decide to go into property? Is that rich dad poor dad sort of teaching you those, or is that something else that gave you that influence that sort of, you know, gave you that push to go for property?
Yeah. So when I mentioned the rich dad poor dad, as you said, that was that sort of first start that, property, never thought of property. I was in hospitality business, and that's what I thought I'm going to be, you know, building my career upon and all that. But when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I shifted my mindset from wanting to be when I read it, I was in management position when I obviously wanted to be gradually. So first you want to become a good bartender, then you want to become a good manager, and etc. Yeah. But then when I read that book, I realized that, no, I want to be owning real estate. I want to be owning places where people are going to rent it off me to run the restaurants. So I kind of changed that dream after that, and I was like, no, I'll be owner of places like this, basically. So that was sort of what first, and then my dad is a builder, and he made me to do everything with him around the house, and he's a proper hands-on person who doesn't sit still. So I had to do everything around the house and in the garden with him, and I learned so many building skills. So I kind of always had like the buildings in me. But when it came to entrepreneurial, how it started for me was, I'm also into e-commerce, and I was studying some people about e-commerce. I like Rob Moore when I came across the fact that he does property. So I came across a property book, and that's how it started for me when I started learning about different strategies. And I'm like, oh wow, I did not know that exists. So to me, what property actually led me through the person I followed originally for something else, and then he opened up, and all these things started coming back to me about Rich Dad Poor Dad, my passion, the knowledge I have about property, and then so I started following it that way. Then
that's really funny how everyone sort of arrives at this sort of kind of a destination in a completely different way. You know, like yours is through business, and other people do it, you know, very much like they always wanted to do property. So it's interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. And you know, it's even for me as well, when I talk to other people or hear other stories, it's very interesting. Most of the time, this is the book, Poor Dad Rich Dad, is always coming up, and there are certain people who are always coming up, and somehow everything goes at a big and huge mindset change, which is whether I want to be an employee for all my life, or whether I want to take control of my life, and I want to be something else, like entrepreneur. So it's a really interesting thing, and it's a lot of times it all goes to the same people, whether it's training, whether it's property training, e-commerce training, because these are the things you can not easily. I'm not saying easily, because this became very, very easy to build up your business once you have a brand, and once you something build up, and once people get to know you. But until that point, nobody knows you. You have no business. You might only have just an idea. You might done some research, and you have some knowledge about strategies. And a lot of times people, after the e-commerce training or after the property training, they came out, and they might know about some strategy, So that's open their mind, but still they don't know how to get that point. And what is the reason? That's exactly the same reason why we're having you here, because it's a really, really important step, I would say, bridge between that point when you, even if you have all the knowledge about property, or you done all the mastermind or mentorship or whatever you need to do, and you absolutely know everything about all the strategies. But when it comes to starting yourself and starting negotiating with agents and investors, whatever is your goal and strategy, then it's coming the point when you realize you're alone and nobody knows you actually. So you're starting a business from scratch and nobody knows you. And a lot of people, I believe 80-90% of the people, this is a point where they give up. So before they even would get to the first deal, they give up because they don't realize there is a very, very important bridge from step 1 to the step 2 when you get your first deals, or you sell your first stuff on e-commerce or whatever you do. And this is your brand. And this is what's so great about you, how you build your brand consistently, weekly, daily basis, putting content on social media. And this is my question to you. So how to use social media? How to use social media for building your brand?
Okay, yeah, so I agree with you, Peter. I mean, that's really nicely put. I mean, as you said, that it is doable. People done it before social media. Yeah, it is doable. But as you said, it's so important, especially because when you start without nothing, it is blank canvas, isn't it? You don't really know what to do. You don't have anybody to ask. But yeah, so I agree with you. It's quite important. And so the way how I use my social media is basically showing myself. But fully and naturally and purely. So, but not necessarily just like everybody tell you, just stay yourself. I mean it in a way that show a little bit of your life as well. Show what you do in your hobbies. Show what you're a believer in. For example, I'm a big environmentalist. Every now and then I'll make a post about picking up plastic or all sorts. And I personally think that social media, because it can open up that space. You can meet people who you would never meet otherwise. So how else would they know you? Is that you show certain things about you that they can actually pick up on. Do they like you as a person? Because if they do, and then they come to you in order to, let's say, get to know you better because they maybe want to do business with you or things like that, they most likely like you in a way, because they know certain things about you as well. So I found that, like, to me, using social media is to make a connection, is to build the brand about, you know, who I am and what I'm doing in life and what I want to achieve. And yeah, I think the main reason why I'm using it the way how I'm using it is to really show myself and be helpful to others as well, if that makes sense. Inspire others. And that's the thing. People saying always add value. To me, it's also inspire them. So so sometimes even just like things, as I said, even the random things about, which I mentioned before, so let me use it as an example again, occasionally picking up plastic, or from the beach or something like that. It's nothing to do with property, but I do get so many private messages after my, like, let's call it inspirational post. Private messages a lot from people that, oh, you inspire me so much. I went on the beach with my girlfriend the other day, or with my boyfriend. We picked that much, and they send me pictures, and I go like, yes, amazing. Even if just that one person did that, it already makes me feel better. So, and it's just, so I'm using social media to also inspire each other, because I get inspired from someone, and then I'll pass it on. So yeah, I think it's very powerful in that as well. So it's not only for business, it's as a necessarily selling something. It's for inspiration and motivation as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I do love it when you do that. And I think, you know, I'm personally guilty of it, to be honest, not doing enough of what you just said. You know, I think we often think that because we do property, all we need to talk about is property. But really, actually, like you say, you know, people buy from people, and it's, you know, people really need to have a little bit of an insight into your personal life as well. Of course, you don't need to tell everyone, you know, what color socks you had on yesterday and, you know, what sort of undies you're going to put on tomorrow. But really, For example, if you're doing something like what you just said, you're going, walk on the beach, or you're picking up some, plastic from the beach, which is, resonates with you as a person. It's really nice to see, because then, people can relate to you a lot more. And I think that's a crucial bit. So yeah, I think I definitely need to do more of those. So thank you for the reminder, Lenka.
No, you're doing
it as well. I know exactly I know exactly how much shall I, because obviously there is some people use certain tactics, how much you show, how much percentage of your post relating to your personal life, promotional, and also educational, motivational, all this stuff. I am guilty myself because I really very, very rare when I show something just barely about myself and ourselves. Mainly we posting about the content regarding the business and regarding the deals, but I should do much more about this. And I always see and remind myself when I see your post.
I'm gonna become your accountability buddy. I'll be sending you daily reminders, going like, "Come on, chop, let's find something."
Please. It sounds very easy. Just before the live, we had already had a discussion. It's easy, guys, to put yourself on social media, but it's not easy. I mean, in terms of you need to be kind of creative, but I'm sure if you really want to put yourself out there, because you really want to get people getting know you, and whatever business you want to build, it doesn't need to be e-commerce, it doesn't need to be property, any business you want to run, the easiest way to build it up is social media. Otherwise you haven't got a budget, thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds to market yourself on newspapers or whatever, even the TV or anywhere like that. So the social media is free for everybody, and as we already mentioned, people buy from people. Any business you want to build up, social media is so crucial. But you also need to be a bit creative, because creating these posts, it's from you, I think it's coming generally, like in nature, from nature, but everybody can do it if you really think about it and you really put yourself together. What shall I do? I'm sure everybody can do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree as well with you that it's it is easy, but it's not easy, as you just said, no? And yeah, I completely agree there with you. And I was in the same position that you were before, when I was guilty. I felt guilty as well myself, that I'm not using it, I'm not leveraging it enough, because as we said, the social media, it's free. You can literally market yourself and what you're doing for free, and you got so many different platforms, and you can reach different countries. You can literally go globally. You can achieve global audience. Obviously, depends on what you want. Obviously, different business, but it's very, very important. And as you said, it's not easy, but it's easy, or another way around, whatever. And so I'd say for that is when it comes to writing a content, so I'm not really, I don't really do so many long posts, like very long posts. I personally like writing a post when they are catchy, few bullet points sometimes, just to get attention, because there's so much stuff out there, and people spend so much time on social media as well. We spend so much time on there, but I want to, in a way, obviously this is the way how I connect with my friends. That's how I connect with other people, with business partners, with potential investors, etc. And so you do want to spend time on that. But sometimes when I want to follow, when there's too many long posts, to me, I personally feel guilty if I don't read them all, but I want to, because I want to support that person. So what I start doing is that, not necessarily saying all the time, because obviously some posts you need to keep longer. There's a message in there or something. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that they're not good. I mean, you shouldn't do that. But what I like is to sometimes keep posts short and just few bullet points. So it just keeps the person like, oh yeah, that's the point what she's trying to make. And yeah, move on, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are different kind of posts, obviously.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you want to put a really good content, a long content, sometimes a short, but absolutely. I don't know if you ever learned about marketing, but you did. Absolutely catching banners, pictures, whatever we use. Also the good headlines and the bullet points to grab the attention and get people literally. Bring it there and literally force them to read your post. That's how we used to say. But actually, Whether I just learn this or you never, that's exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things now. Like there's so many tips basically what you can do, as we were saying before as well, that just sometimes just by posting a motivational quote, so your favorite quote, just something what motivated you. So why not you share it with someone else? And especially if you're having a day where you know that you should be more consistent on the social media, but you're not really sure what to post. Or obviously some people have a plan, so you have a proper week plan as well. So either or, but I was saying that sometimes it's just nice to have a motivational quote. That's an idea as well. Again, it shows what sort of thoughts you have, or what sort of person, that you what sort of things you follow. But at the same time, there's like what I say is that mix them up with different things as well. So not just keep one specific, let's say just motivational quotes all the time. Something funny, something about your life. And there's so many things you can actually post about. Some people do rants, for example. I don't personally do rants, but some people, they're saying that have a little rant about something. It's like there's so many different things you can do.
I wouldn't do it myself either, but it could work. It could work, but I like to be positive as well anyway, not just on social media anyway. So if it's something that I don't like, I rather keep it myself. But some people might say differently. So it's always different personalities. So you cannot expect other person do the same thing like we, because we are different, completely different.
Absolutely, 100% agree. It really depends on what works for you, and the only way to really learn what works for you and your brand is to try different things. So even with what I've been doing, let's say when I started my podcast, for example, I would the pictures in the beginning would be different, how I present the person or how I make a post. It also, like every single thing I did, I've tested it. So I've tried this way, but I tried it for at least a week or two to see how it's getting engaged and how it works. And what I would say is that what is very important is that when you learn that something doesn't work, or you're not getting as much engagement as you think you want to get, for example, is sometimes it means that don't worry, be patient, just stay doing what you're doing. But there's times when you need to learn as well that maybe that doesn't work. Maybe I need to change something, for example. And just testing, keep testing. Social media is all about testing, isn't it? I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very crucial about any marketing tools you use or any channel you use. Testing, keep testing and measure it. Otherwise, how would you know if something works or not? But it's a great thing to hear, because the next question is from me is, which channel you like the best, or you think the best? Which channel you would recommend to use? I mean, in terms of social media.
Okay, so from those which I use, I have to say already that I'm not using TikTok or I'm not using Snapchat. So I have accounts at the moment on I have accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And the way how I'm building my brand, the way how I'm learning, handling social media as well around my life as well, is not to go overwhelmed. So but that's just my personal way. Obviously, everybody's different and everybody has different amount of time or different, but so how I did it is that I don't have a favorite one. That's what I want to say. So I don't have a favorite. It's just, it's all of them works differently. So LinkedIn, I always looked at LinkedIn, to me, like it's a bit very serious. It's a bit serious, So Facebook is a bit more casual, and Instagram is more about picture, it's more visionary, isn't it? You can read there, obviously, but it's more about visionary. So visionary, is that the word? You know what I'm trying to say, I hope. Visual. Visionary. Visual. And so the way how I've done it with a Facebook, for example. So I started on Facebook, with my personal one, and then as I was using it and learning about it, I started watching other people who I follow, who I admire, for example, or who I think they're very successful in my eyes. Obviously, everybody has different way of success means different things for different people. So as I was learning about Facebook and building Facebook, I opened an Instagram account and was doing Instagram slowly. And now when I'm on it, basically with Instagram as well, so both is Facebook built from I think it was from like 500 friends to now almost 3,000 in that period of time when I'm building, and I'm selective. I'm quite selective. I'm not clicking on everybody and I'm not accepting everybody. And then on Instagram from like, I don't know, maybe I had 120 followers, and now I got over 700. And I know they're not huge numbers, but it's basically, it's the start. It's something what I just been doing from, you know, building one and then building the other. And now it's all building quite, you know, now they're growing quite fast. And now I start, and as I was building the Instagram, I opened LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, I'm not even using for posting much. I go in there to engage with some people every now and then, you know, maybe, you know, 4 times a week, for example, I pop in on LinkedIn, and I have around 360 connections. So what the goal of that, to me, is that while I'm learning and building that one, I'm already creating my presence on the other. Instead of hitting it all and trying to keep up, that's just in the way how I'm doing. Instead of trying to keep up with 3 or 4 different platforms and engage with people and trying to be, you know, because you get different groups and things like that. So instead of doing it that way, I was doing it one by one. So that's sort of, so to me, I don't have the favorite one, but LinkedIn was my, like, I kept that one as the last, because to me, it looked too serious. But now I'm going to get on it as well. So we'll see.
Use it as well.
Yeah, I am going to.
I have to say, I think it's a really smart approach of what you just described. You know, it's clearly not all in, but, you know, moving from one to another, just understanding how it all works, and then using it to the best of your, you know, to the best of your advantage, which is really good. So clearly what you're doing resonates with people, because we have this comment that says that Lenka is amazing at social media. So whatever you're doing works. We also have another one saying, go Lenka. So just wanted to display a couple of these comments because they keep coming in. I just didn't want to disturb you. But also Danny was looking for you in one of the Facebook groups, and I think Andy has helped him find you. So thank you, Andy.
Hey.
So,
that's wonderful.
Andy's helped Danny out. So everyone's watching you now. So I think we're all good.
We all there. Oh, thank you guys for such a lovely comments and everything. And it's so nice as well. As I completely agree. If you would be popping them before, it would distract me. But it was really nice to see some comments there afterwards. So that's really nice. So thank you for the comments.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's really nice. You know, this is what we love about putting the little comments on the screen, because it just makes it a bit more interactive. You know, it feels like you're actually talking to other people as well, not just Peter and myself on the screen. So I quite enjoy it. So thanks for saying that
as well. We don't want we're really good to talk with each other sometimes. When we started a couple of times it happened, but of course it's much better if I'll be talking with other people as well, and they commenting and reacting. It's really good, and especially when after any live session we always receiving messages and thank you, just like you mentioned, when you can have someone really because the content was good and maybe they was looking for, because they seen somewhere we put a post what we're going to talk about, and obviously those people are going to come and watch it who is somehow interesting on the subject, and I think this is a great subject anyway. It's definitely one of my favorite subjects, and it's definitely you are one of the best on this subject, definitely for me as well, at least. And it's great to see them people coming and learning from you, from us, because that's what it's all about.
Oh, thank you very, very much. And yeah, it's all about sharing.
By the way, it's a great strategy, by the way. What you do is building up one and testing it, and then moving to the next one and the next one. It's a great strategy, because believe me, you can do all in the same time, but you need a complete team. we could tell about this. You need a complete literally team, 4, 5, 6 people. If you want to do all this stuff in all platform simultaneously, and doing all the content and all the posting and sharing and everything. Yeah, so it's impossible for one person. It's definitely impossible.
Yeah.
If you want to live a life as well, no? If you want to have a life.
It would be great. Yeah, it would be great.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
And I actually forgot to mention, like, I've been talking about the Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, but I actually forgot to mention, as you said before, I also have the podcast now. I don't know why.
That's one thing I forgot to ask you. But it's
sorry. I just wanted to mention there's another platform. But yeah, I'll leave it to you.
Oh, please, tell us about podcast.
Yeah, so that's just another, and with a podcast, I'll tell the listeners a little bit about that and how I, got to it and why. But and at the same time, as I said, it's just another platform. It's the podcast for the people out there. If you have something you wanna either talk about, or you think that other people could be interested, or if that's just something you are very passionate about, and even if you don't know if others are interested, they will be, because there always will be someone interested in something you're interested. And podcast is
a really good point.
Yeah, there's always someone's going to be, even if you feel like, oh, who's going to listen to me? There's going to be. Basically, the podcasts, I don't know the statistic. I'm really bad at those. But I know that podcast is becoming a very, very, very popular platform. The people do listen to podcasts more and more and more. And especially now, people, when you drive, it's easily to link into everything. So podcast is also very powerful. And so when I had the idea of podcast, it came up from the fact that I want to be talking to people. I want to be learning. I want to be sharing other stories, and I want like that. That's how I picture my podcast when ideas was to talk to other people. But I didn't even know how to start. And one of the reasons why I decided to go for podcast as well was because I didn't want to go on camera. Which, long story short, I actually am on the camera because I'm doing podcasts on YouTube as well. So, but I didn't want to be on the camera. So I'm thinking, perfect, I'm just going to be talking to my microphone, and but no, that didn't happen, which is awesome because again, I had to be uncomfortable in order to grow. So anyway, that's a different story, which I get to it. But what I want to say is that with the podcast, so I had this idea, and I've been talking about it for maybe a few months to my boyfriend, to my best friend, to another best friend. And I just I think about doing podcasts. But no, I was like, I wanted to, but I had no idea how to start. And then when I met Andy Thomas, which I think he is there, or he was watching because I saw his comment. Hi, Andy. Andy, when Andy...
he says this, by the way.
So...
He's watching.
But then...
He is here. He's watching for sure.
Yeah, he is there. So yeah, safe to him. So basically, because of him, he basically asked me a question. He was like, "So if you want to have a podcast, why don't you do it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have any equipment. I don't have any microphone. I don't know how to do it." And he was like, and he had a podcast, which I was very big fan of. I am. But back then, when I was a big fan of his podcast, and I don't know, keep saying was. And he said to me, he's like, Lenka, I don't have any special equipment. I record my podcast on my phone. And I was like, what? Is that possible? So it is just like building your social media online. It's out there and it's free. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from your laptop. So that was just another thing. Even the podcast you can do on your phone or on your laptop. And to me, that was like, no way. So then what I basically decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I picked up, so Andy basically just gave me a few tips. He was like, you just need to download. So he recommended Anchor. When he recommended Anchor, I researched other platforms as well. So I did a little bit of research, decided to go with Anchor, downloaded Anchor, played a little bit around. They were telling me you need to record intro, you need to record outro. I was like, okay. So, but I didn't know what I'm going to do. So I was like, okay, I had an Anchor. I knew that I can just use my headphones to record. So I picked up a piece of paper and started planning my podcast. And literally, so what I've done, it was day one, I created the name or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but basically I created the name and I was creating it in a way like, so I'm going to talk to people and I'm going to be asking them how they did. And I was like trying to figure out what I'm going to be asking them specifically, but I knew this property related. And I was like, so how did you do, and then I was, what's the word? And I was like, no, I'm just going to call it, how did you? And everybody will fill up the blank of what they did. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to call my podcast, how did you? And I was like, okay, the name is done, tick. The next thing I was like, I need guests. So I contacted a few friends, including Peter. I contacted a few friends and I was like, would you like to come on my show? It's not going to be released straight away because I've learned by following other people, I've learned with a podcast that you need, ideally, you want 5-6 episodes on your podcast before you release it. So I was saying that, I need to record 3 episodes first. Would you like to come on my podcast? So people were saying yes, 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 yes. I was like, okay, tick, awesome. People want to come to me. I was a bit shocked, but I was like, brilliant. You know, I was like, that's fantastic. So I started feeling more and more confident about doing it, if that makes sense. Because I was like, wow, okay. Didn't think it's going to be that easy. And then the next thing was literally recording intro, outro, and organizing the day. I had a few questions ready for the first guest. We recorded in a Zoom. And then from Zoom, what I do is because that's many people asking me how I do that. That's why I'm saying it to the detail now, because that's something what I think people might find useful. So so I record my podcast episode on Zoom, and then the Zoom, it gives you a video. When you save it, it converted to a video. Now I take that video into like iMovie program, like iMovie, and I turn that into my video for YouTube. So I add my little intro there, my outro there, little music in the beginning. I've learned how to do that by YouTube. You just watch YouTube videos. It teaches you how to do all that. Very simple. So yeah, and suddenly I realized, okay, so that's the video. That's leveraging. That's the reason I'm saying it, because you're leveraging your content. So you do a podcast, but you can also put it on YouTube. And then from there, an exact same program. Once I have the video saved and ready for YouTube, I'll go back to the same video, delete that intro and outro, and which I have for YouTube, and save it just as an audio, no video, just as an MP3 basically. And that then I upload onto my Anchor, which I have my outro and intro and outro recorded on there already. And it's simple. I mean, it seems a bit difficult, like when I say it like that, but in a way, it's also, when you break it down, it's so simple. You're basically leveraging one conversation on Zoom, with you know, which is normally, it's just like with you guys, you're just talking like to a friend, and I'm learning and the others are learning, and it's really good for you know, for exposure as well, for that person who is on there, for their business, and also for my brand. It's such a win-win for everybody that I absolutely love my podcast. And as I said, it's just so easy to do as well, and it's so many ways you can leverage it just from one Zoom video.
So there's so many things you said in there that were just absolutely amazing. So I think there was proper gold dust in there, Lenka. So thank you for sharing that. So can I just pick a few points out of there, because I really love that. So I think repurposing your content, I think, is super crucial, and I think Peter and myself have been working very hard on getting to that point ourselves as well. Secondly, hopefully this will be one of your podcast episodes, and we are more than happy to obviously release the content of this to you if you want to put it on your podcast. So you know, we didn't talk about this, but of course, you know, this is just as much of your content as it's our content. So, you know, here's another episode for you.
That's fantastic. Oh, thanks, guys. I didn't have an on my podcast when I'm interviewed, so that's going to be my first me interview.
There you go.
That's the podcast, because it's been a while. We try to expand. It's a lot of plan we have and a lot of things we're working. But podcast is one of the next one. We want to combat it, of course, and want to launch a podcast as well. But we haven't got there yet, as of yet.
You will. With the speed you guys going, with everything you're doing, you'll be there so soon. And I'm more than happy to help you with any questions you might have, which if I can help with anything, I'm more than happy to help you with that. But guys, you are absolutely smashing it. I'm sure your podcast is going to be.
Thank you. Well, we will try our best. But also on what you said in terms of setting up your podcast, you know, for people who are thinking about setting up, and, you know, that's something for us as well that we've been working through, you know, how to set up what you see on a screen right now. You know, the first one, I'm sure that was an absolute pain for you to do, you know, like doing your intro and outro and all those things. I'm sure it took you probably 2 days to put the first podcast together, right? And I'm sure now it's probably more like a half an hour job, right? So it's one of those things, once you set everything up, it's actually just a routine job. Once you recorded your conversation, you had your guest, then you just, like you just said, you know, you do it in your iMovie, do this, do that, a couple of clicks here and there, and now you're done. But you have to get through that initial pain. And I think that's true, not just for podcasting, but also true for business in general, right?
Absolutely. I was just about to say, Istvan, you just said that was a perfect point there, that you have to do the same thing, even with a business, even with property. You know, when you buy a project which needs a refurb, it means money, it means time, it needs lots of thinking and meetings and all sorts. And in order for you to suddenly just have this beautiful cash flow. So it is, yeah, it's the same thing. It just takes a little bit of, you know, a bit of legwork in the beginning, a little bit of preparation, creating your picture, creating your thumbnails and things like that, and having everything uniform. But once you have that set, it's, yeah, as you said, you record the conversation and boom. Then you just need to do admin around it.
It's the good old thing that everyone likes to do in property, what they say, you know, rinse, repeat, right?
Rinse, repeat.
I'm sure you've all heard it before, rinse, repeat, right? You know, you find the same property on the same street or same setup, and you just do the same thing what you've done once before. Rinse and repeat,
yes.
right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's the best, definitely.
Yeah. So one of my mentors, you know, Kevin McDonald always says to me that, you know, do the stuff that is boring. Boring is good because that's what really makes you money. Because by the time you get to the boring bit, you've done all your learning and you really are actually just making money because you know what you're doing, right? Do the boring bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what people say as well about, let's say, when you are learning how to be more organized and structuring your day. So when you're structuring your day and when you write down your to-do list, for the following day, if you can, obviously, it depends sometimes on the day, you could have appointments and things like that, but when you can, try to get rid of the tasks you don't want to do first. Because once that is done, you, for the rest of the day, you feel like, oh, this is done. And everything else is just like, easy peasy. But when you have that one, when you're just putting it, I'll do one later, I do that one later, it's not only that you still have that one to do, but the whole time until you get there, you have it in the back of your mind that you have to do it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, even just with structuring your days when you are learning about how to becoming entrepreneur or, you know, business person, how to be more organized, because that's hugely important when you are becoming an entrepreneur. Because obviously you need to be organized in your personal life, in life, in order to handle business and money and things like that, in my opinion. So yeah, get rid of the boring bits first, the things you don't want to really do, because everything else will be more fun.
It's so much easier said than done sometimes, though, isn't it? You know, because we all just like what they call the path of least resistance. You know, take the easy route, and then I'll just do the hard bit later. You know, it's so much easier to do that way. But I completely agree. If you get that, I think they call this the eat the frog thing. You know, eat the frog. Yeah, just get the ugly bits out of the way, basically, and then do the good stuff.
Absolutely.
We just got Paul saying hi to us. Hey, Paul, good to have you tonight as well.
Good evening. Oh, lovely. Yeah. So there's a book as well, isn't there? Eat the Frog. Have you read it? Yeah. There's
I've not read it actually, to be honest. So no, I haven't.
There you go. Book recommendation.
Another one. Add it to the list.
Yeah.
We're gonna outsource the VAs, so we're gonna outsource it for the VAs to the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. She can eat that frog. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like, it's a good point, Peter, when you said about VA as well, just to touch to the before, when we were talking about when you're growing social media. It's like when you're doing it on your own, when you're not using a VA or someone's help, it really, this is where I found very helpful for me to stay in one platform, get a bit stronger on there, then go to the other, get a bit stronger in there. Otherwise, that's to me, without having the VA, which obviously now I'm gonna have VA very, very soon. I'm getting to that point, but I think I am at that point almost like now that it's just understanding it more. I'm just saying it for those who are building and perhaps they can't afford VA at the moment or they're not in that stage yet. What helped me is to get stronger in one and then the other. And I might be wrong, you know, people might be doing it, not wrong. I'm just saying that might not work for others, but that's how it works for me.
Absolutely. And Lenka, believe me, once you get the point, you can kind of teach your VA for the things you're doing on daily basis, but the VA only gonna do literally hours, 8-10 hours, just your stuff. You teach them. Actually, it's gonna be anything you do now. It's gonna be multiplied by 5-10 times. Imagine the followers, the friend requests, and all the stuff, because the content is gonna be pretty much the same. It's gonna be you. It's just 2, 3, 4, 5 times more, and it's a huge help, honestly. And if you can teach what you do, if you teach anybody who is going to help you, supporting you, you're going to achieve a great success. I mean, in terms of literally booming on social media, even more.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's actually one more thing I forgot to mention, which I would not want to forget to mention that, because it's very, very important. If I have a moment, I don't know if they would.
Of course, lots of moments.
Lots of time. Is
Yeah.
It's the other thing which is very important, I'd say, is which I'm still not. I'm so guilty. I'm not using it properly as I should, and I was kicked again by Andy. He kicked my backside to do that. Is to have a Facebook business page. And Facebook business page, from my observation, normally Facebook business pages, they're not getting that much engagements in general. Yeah, like that's no matter who you are. I mean, not everybody, but most of them. Yeah, most of the business pages. And lots of people say that just focus on business, business page for a business. But I personally like as well, keep building my brand on my personal Facebook. That's just something I like. I just like. But I've learned recently, I've seen it with my own eyes. That's why I'm making it as a point, where I caught someone who is in real estate. It's a sales manager in estate agency. When I had a viewing, she tried to find me. She asked me for my surname, and then she tried to find me on Facebook. And when I came downstairs from, in that property, she kind of was like, so how do you spell it? And is it appropriate? And I gave her my card, and she was like, yeah, no, I found you. And she was just going she was like, oh yeah, okay. And I just saw how people really, even if it's estate agents, because obviously it's for sales and all that, so even they do due diligence on you, and they can't necessarily get on your personal Facebook. So building the Facebook page is more important than I thought it was, and I am that kind of opened my eyes even more, thinking, wow, I do need to start using it more. So I want to start using the Facebook business page more as well, because I already see how people do have a sneaky peek there, and which I didn't think that would, that wasn't my priority, if that makes sense, but people do look there. So I'd say do that as well. Have the Facebook business page as well. But use it maybe similar way, not necessarily just like private Facebook, but similar way. Again, show a little bit of your personality. Don't keep it too serious. But again, that's just my opinion. I want people to know me, and if they want to work with me or invest with me, they need to know who I am, not just whose business Lenka is.
It's absolutely crucial. It's absolutely crucial. You're building your own brand. It's honestly, without that, you're not going to be able to achieve anything. But it's also important. The two things simultaneously should go, like a business page and your personal page, and use both, because just like you mentioned, a good example, having a business page or having a Google presence, if you have a website, forget about now search engine optimization. Just to someone just spelling your name, your company name in Google, and shows your website, some good pictures and the good content, same on Facebook, just to put your name and they find you, you already build the credibility to your business and to yourself, and they can find you as a person as well. And if it's a good content there, a couple of projects you've done or you've been doing, or a couple of viewings, and it's straight away going to put you in a different position. And that's exactly what we teach to our mentees as well and masterminds as well, how to use this technique, because you doesn't need to be spending thousands of pounds on a website. Just have a domain and just build something, even if for free, to claim your own domain name and own presence on Google and on social media for your business and yourself as well. Because even if you talk to investors, agents, landlords, they all want to check you, they all want to see you, and sometimes they don't even think how long you've been doing this business or how much property you have. They don't care, they just see you. And some people is enough. They just see you and they straight away they know, oh, it's a big company or it's a trusted company, just by having a good page. A lot of people don't know, especially if you have some friends and you're asking and you have a couple of good reviews as well on or even from client, which is even more important. You done business and you have good reviews on the side. It's already a big help in any deal, getting any deals done. And just to get back to the Facebook business page, we're really happy to show you because we use a business page very much. So especially your profile, Lenks, on your profile, if you share your business page on your profile and share it within groups, let's say, or just on your profile, you're going to reach much more people. Sometimes we reach 10,000-15,000 people, and engagements, hundreds of engagement, almost 1,000 per engagement with only organic posts.
That's fantastic. That's a very clever thing to do.
Yeah, we have all we'll be happy to show you. And also, here as well, we're happy to tell you guys, share the business page on personal profiles. There is a tactic we're happy to show you, and that's always we teach in the masterminds and in the mentees as well. You can reach a lot of people like this with this tactic.
I would really love if you don't mind sharing with me how you do it. That'll be amazing.
Of course, Lenka, of course.
Yeah, sharing is caring. Let's help each other.
You should have a podcast on the business page. How is it?
Exactly. High five to that. Deal.
I think what I really like about using the Facebook page, by the way, is that you get insights into the posts.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is always a bit overlooked, I think, because once you put a post in your personal profile, it's difficult to know how it's done, who's seen it or how many people engage to it, all that sort of stuff. If you do it on a Facebook page, on the other hand, you get to see the insights, who's or where, how they engage with it, how many people shared it, for example, how many people have even seen the post. So all those things are quite important once you run a business. So I think, there's some useful things in there that is worth looking into. Peter, we might want to restart your camera. You've gone all really fuzzy all of a sudden.
I thought that's condensation. I thought you breathed too close. It's so cold in your house.
Yeah, you're welcome, Paul. We do try always share as much as we can on these calls. So hopefully, we're glad to see that it helps people.
Amazing, yeah.
Lenka, we don't want to obviously keep you all night. We love talking to you, but we don't want to keep you all night. We've been going for about an hour now. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the last question we tend to ask our guests, which is quite a probing one. Not always people like it, but it would be really good to hear your thoughts on it. What would you call your best and worst decisions in life and in business in general? What were those?
The best decision and the worst decision, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I know, not easy.
No, yeah. Well, I'd say the best decision I've done was I've traveled a lot, world a lot. Yeah. I'd say I would never change that ever for anything. That was the best things, like to learn about who I am, where I do want to live. Because when I came from a little village and I was in London, I thought London is amazing and I want to be in London. And then I was like, no, I'm more conscious. I want to live somewhere else. And I've learned that when I was traveling and things like that. Like I think the best decision was to travel a lot. I think that I'll go with that one. And moved to Devon. Moved to beautiful Devon then. Followed by traveling.
I'm not surprised. Devon is beautiful. So yeah, I'm always envious when I see your pictures. I'm like, oh my God, can I just meet you there? This looks amazing.
Well, I'm building my SA service accommodation empire now here in Torbay, in the English Riviera. So I'll be posting those pictures to make it so tempting for everybody. So you're gonna be like, oh, I need to come for holiday, and I'll be like, I got accommodation. Amazing. And the worst decision, I don't know, that's really hard because decisions makes us and who we are. So it's quite hard because I would, the first thing popped into my head, like, for example, that I didn't start business earlier, but in the same time, I didn't because I traveled. So, and, it's just, so I don't know, I think the worst decision,
there must have been a boyfriend along the way, surely, that you'd rather forget. Surely, come on.
This is life, isn't it? No, there is no boyfriends I want to forget. I have one. The worst decision I ever made was not to listen to my entrepreneurial instinct enough. Sooner. That's what I go with. Worst decision. Like I knew somewhere there. And then I still stayed employed. And still, when I was either losing the job or I didn't like it, I looked for another job instead of looking for the way how to be an entrepreneur. So yeah, but again, made me who I am.
Okay, well done, well done.
I think I do agree with this, by the way, exactly what you said. It's difficult to pick one out because who you are now and where you're headed is because of all those decisions you made along the way, right? And all those choices and everything that sort of happened to you up to this point. So I think I struggle to come up with things that I regret that I've done, because, you know, I am who I am because of what I've done and what happened to me. So, and I think it sounds like you kind of have the same mentality about your life as well. So yeah, I value that a lot.
People say like don't have regrets, and it's like, well, I'd say that yes, it's you learn from mistakes, you know, or from certain decisions, and you know, as long as you not keep repeating same mistakes, when you learn from things, then that's, you know, you that's how you grow, that's how we grow, and that's how we can get better. And yeah, so yeah, 100%. It's quite hard to choose that sort of decision because, as we said, it just makes us who we are. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what I would go with.
That's perfect. Well, thank you very much. Look, Lenka, I personally loved it. I really enjoyed having a conversation with you. Thank you for sharing all your great knowledge on social media, and just about you in general, to be honest. I think I've learned more about you than I've ever known. So for me, it was brilliant. So I really enjoyed it. So Peter, anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, of course. Just myself, just like you. It's been a while. I wanted to invite Lenka, and it's great to have you here. It's one of the best lives, I think, and I hope a lot of people will learn from tonight, because there is a lot of things to learn. Anybody who's already doing business or is starting or planning to do, is definitely the social media, the way to go, and also the experience as well from life. Sometimes we make good decisions, bad decisions, but that's what it makes us who we are. It was a great one at the end, and yeah. So generally, I was really loved tonight as well. But obviously, we need to finish now, and of course, we're gonna get Devon a lot of times this summer, hopefully, and. You know, we might get some service accommodation as well, because why not? Some business and some sun.
Exactly.
That's
business and pleasure, eh? Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Always. Business is always there.
Absolutely, guys, and I absolutely loved being here today. Like, as I said to you before, that I follow you too, both for, you know, on your social, on your journey and what you do, and I love it. I watched, I think, most of your shows, and if I missed any, I'm sorry, and I will go back. But I am trying to keep up, and love what you do. Absolutely love what you do, and I'm sure that you guys are gonna go far, because you're doing it like such an awesome way when it comes to property or your social media and your marketing and all that. It's really fantastic. So yeah, keep what you're doing. It's great to watch. And if I can just add just like a little like a summarized little tips for those you know, as in the end of this episode, is just for people, just remember to be consistent. Just another tip is basically, because if you're going to be doing usual social media, let's say 1 week 2 days, and the next week none, and another week 3 days, that's actually worse. So even if you choose 1 day a week or 2 days a week, but stay consistent. So I say stay consistent, stay yourself, and enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. Honestly, I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, I can't wait to meet finally as like normal humans soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. It'll be nice. Lenka, thank you very much once again, and thanks for everyone who joined us. We've enjoyed it. Hopefully you have as well. We will sign off with that. We thank Lenka once again.